You got your.
Huh?
I guess I'll turn it like when you're.
Yes. Oops. I'll kick over the table.
Don't do that. And I made him put something back there because I was worried that. Okay. All right. Are you ready to go? So welcome everybody. Thank you for coming out. We hope you guys are all enjoying this beautiful evening here. We thought it might be kind of fun because we would like to start doing more things with our club members. And first, we just want to say thank you to everybody for being members of the club here. We really appreciate all your support, and we're so happy that you guys love the wines and want to be a part of the stuff that we're doing here. So you're in for a treat. I'm sandwiched here by by our winemakers. So I have Darren Hessington here. He's the director of winery and vineyard operations, and I have Scott Garris here, our winemaker. So you guys are, like I said, you're in for a treat. You can ask all the questions that you would like tonight. This is sort of just for our club members. We thought it'd be really nice to once a month get together, do some fun things, taste some wines, give you guys an opportunity to get the inside scoop on all of the things that we're doing here at the winery. This is a beautiful time. The vineyards, as you see, are sort of changing and growing. So I'll have them talk a little bit about what's going on in the vineyards too. And then we're going to taste through our 3 featured wines of the month. So that's our 2018 Cabernet Sauvignon, our 2020 Sauvignon Blanc, and our Blackberry Reserve. So why don't we first just really quickly talk about what's going on in the vineyards right now? It's really fun and interesting.
Yeah, the vineyards, as you say, they're really starting to grow. Right now, if you get up and take a really close look, we're right at bloom. So grapes don't get really big flowers. They just get these little
Like a pinhead.
little
Yeah.
pinhead flowers, little flowers on them. But you can actually see it. And if you're walking in the vineyard, you can actually smell the bloom a little bit.
Yeah,
It's
they're
not
like-
real
they're a
fragrant,
little
but it does
fuzzy.
have fragrance.
They look like fuzzy, they're like little fuzz balls onto them and stuff like that. Those
Yeah.
little squeeze balls that you get and stuff. That's sort of like what the grapes look like, but they're very small, very tiny flowers onto them.
So the good news is that we see we have a really nice bloom right now. So the next stage will be a fruit set. So after they bloom, actually berries will form, and then we'll see how good our fruit set is, and that'll sort of dictate on how we're going to do for the season. So far, I mean, the weather hasn't been great the last few years, but so far this weather has been good. We've been getting a little rain, but it's okay in the spring. But it's been relatively dry. We have a nice slow growing season so far. With the heat, of course, they grow real fast, but it's been cool, slow growing, and so the canopies aren't too big. They're easily managed, so airflow is still flowing through them. So it's looking pretty good right now for a good harvest. But we'll keep you posted as you come back and let you know how we're doing on all that.
Yeah, as far as a lot of the other vines and stuff like that going, you can almost see them grow when it's like the couple days ago when it was 90 degrees and stuff like that. That's when you can really see them, growing as you come in every day, coming in, everything is fuller and fuller, where you were able to before be able to see people walking through the vineyard. Now it's getting to the point where all you do is just see their heads going across the top of the vines and stuff. So it's been great, and so far everything's been good. No frost this year. We've gotten hit with frost last year. So far this year, no frost. So we're ahead of the game.
And grapes do like it warm and dry, not too hot, because once it exceeds 90, they sort of shut down to protect themselves. But if we can keep this kind of weather, nice, cool, clean, breezy, it'll fare well for us. So we're really excited about this year. We spent a lot of time with our pruning, getting everything changed up. We laid a lot of new canes down, and so we have a lot of new growth growing. So it should lead to better fruit.
Yeah, certain varieties you'll see a spur pruning, and other ones you'll see cane pruning, where everything's a brand new trunk laid down, and other ones are a spurred that has a like second year wood onto it, and you'll see sort of like fingers coming up onto it before the new shoots come out.
Yeah, because with grapes, anything that grows this year is going to produce fruit next year. So it's that wood that we have to take care of. So when you're pruning and working in the vineyard with your buds, you got to remember those buds we're protecting right now are for next year's fruit. So you're always sort of thinking a year ahead on them. So we're trying to just keep them clean, keep them nice, keep all the buds growing, because after all this is over in about a month's time, that canopy is going to be full. Then we'll just maintain it. We'll harvest our fruit, and hopefully have all that good wood, because that's what's going to produce our fruit next year.
Yeah, and we've been posting some pictures on Facebook, but yeah, if you want to take like a couple minutes after, just kind of walk down through. It's really fun to sort of see, and we'll keep posting pictures as they're sort of changing as we go through the season. But yeah, take a little walk down and check it out while you guys are here. And then when you come back next month, hopefully we'll do another one of these. We're going to try to do these once a month. So if you come back next month, you can kind of sort of see how the grapes are progressing and how the season's going.
Yeah, it's the nice thing about all the seasons and stuff like that. You get to see them through pruning, bud break, bud where they are actually flowering, fruit set, and then veraison when they actually start to turn color onto them. They start to get the sugars into them, and then harvest. So I always tell people to come back all 4 seasons.
What are you doing about this spotted lantern flies?
Praying. So yeah, we have the spotted lanternflies, and right now we have cicadas coming in and stuff like that. We haven't seen too much problems with the cicadas yet. Right now we have the spotted lanternflies. So they did hatch. So they are out there. They're small, black little insects that have white spots onto them right now. So we're trying to take care of them with sort of the same thing that you use at the horse farms and stuff like that they use on horses and stuff like that is what we're using in the vineyard, so it's something that we can use on the grapes and still be.
Yeah, there's some natural stuff that we can use, like oils and stuff that you can use that'll take care of them. So we're trying to be as careful as we can.
Thankfully, we've been it's been okay.
Yeah, because earlier in the year we used sesame oil. It was one of the organic oils that you're allowed to use, and neem oil as well.
Can I say hello?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I just want to say hello. If I didn't say hello to you all before, I'm Dave. I'm the owner. I just want to say hello. You're in good hands. I'm not going to take too much. Thank you all for coming. Love always having our members here. And these guys, you'll get all the information. I taught them everything you know about wine, just so you know. So this is a test to see how well they're doing. They knew nothing about wine before you guys.
Now you gotta give them a raise.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right.
Come back every month.
Yeah.
Every month.
No more wine for you. Cut them off. That's too much wine here. Okay. That's right. Okay. No, we'll catch up. Anyhow, I'm gonna leave it. If you have any questions for me, I'm gonna leave it back. I don't know if anybody's online. I'm just folks
Mark.
Here. Mark. Okay. But good to have you all out here. Great night. Thank you all for
He doesn't have his
coming.
camera.
And we're gonna be doing these monthly anyway. If they haven't told you so, come back, bring your friends, and once again, got an almost perfect night for it.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, everybody. I'll turn it back over to everybody here. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, so feel free to ask questions, and we'll start tasting through the 3 wines for featured wines of the month. So first, we're going to start with the 2018 Cab. Darren, I'll sort of turn it over to you. And Scott.
2018 Cab, a little lighter style Cab, but it's like almost a really nice, good red for like nights like this. First thing you're gonna notice is a little fruit, and I get a little oak on the nose. So you're picking up that oak, you're picking up the fruit, and then it drinks quite smooth. It's not a little heavy, real heavy tannin, so it's not super drying on the palate. But it would be for a red, sort of nice for anything, I think. But I'm a red drinker, so I kind of go against the grain on some of this stuff. I'm a firm believer in drinking what you like. And that's basically what I do. But there are certain things like with a red wine, we're always good with a lot of worthless information, but we like to share it. Like on your palate, like when you're eating your steaks and your food, the fatty stuff, like the fat from your steak, the oils and stuff, that coats your palate. And what the tannins do actually, when it washes across your palate, the tannins actually pull that oil out of your tongue. So if you're drinking a white wine with a steak and you taste and you have that oil in your mouth, you're going to lose a lot of the flavor. It's a good way you can experiment at home with it. If you have a little olive oil or something, dip a cracker in it, taste your wine first, eat the cracker if it's a white to start, and then drink your wine again. It'll taste completely different because you won't get the flavor profile out of it. But now if you take the red wine after you clean your palate and do the same thing, you'll still taste the red wine because that red wine is pulling that oil off your tongue. So they're the reasons why you do it. And they're good reasons, but I still tend to drink just what I like. If I'm happy drinking it, that's what I do.
Can you speak a little bit to how it was made?
Yeah, it's good.
So the cap comes in. This was 26 bricks when it comes in. It's a measurement of sugar that's in the grapes when it comes in. So it's soluble solids. So that'll ferment down. That's our first initial fermentation. So that comes down. This ended up being 13.8% in alcohol onto it. Real nice, lighter style, not heavy in the alcohol onto it. Very drinkable. This one spent 15 days on the skins during fermentation. We do a punch down and a pump over twice a day onto it in order to get the skin contact. Because during fermentation on the skins will float up out of the juice, and you keep on mushing those back down into the juice in order to extract as much color out of the skins, because that's where all your color comes from, is the skins and the grapes. Then we put it through a malolactic fermentation process right after the initial sugar fermentation. Get it through malolactic, where it changes the malic acid into a lactic acid, where it softens up the acids in the wine onto it. And then this one here we use the yeast BDX on this one here. Different wines will get different characteristics from the different yeast that you use. This one was a BDX. We'll talk about yeast and the other ones when we get to the other wines as well. And then this one spends 7 months in neutral oak onto it. So gives it a little bit of micro-oxidization onto it and softens it up even a little bit more.
Yeah, it's nice when you're working with your fruit, because every year is going to be a little different. And we always say we're sort of babysitters for good fruit, and the fruit really makes the wine. We just try to take care of it and make sure it gets to what it's supposed to be. We sort of know right away when we're coming in and the ferment starts how it's going to be, and it's not really a recipe. You're sort of dealing with the fruit at hand. So we use multiple yeasts, and it just depends what style we want to use and what the quality of fruit is what we're going to do with it. Even going down to the oak, if this is a lighter cab, we don't want to put it in a lot of newer oak, because it'll really hold that new oak. It'll become like an oak bomb. That's all you'll taste, because the fruit really isn't there to carry a whole lot of oak. So they're all little things we work on. So it's just nice to be able to work with the grapes, and it's so important to keep our grapes nice and bring them in, because that's where the quality of the wine really comes from. We just try to take care of it.
Yes, Dan.
All the cabs, grapes sourced here, or buying in the market?
We do bring in from different places, because we just have such a big crowd following here that we just got to source it from other places, because it's possible. And Sunny Slope down in South Jersey does very well. It's amazing what we can do down in South Jersey compared to up here. They get about 20 more growing days than we do up here.
Oh,
so
yeah, at least, yeah.
It's amazing what 20 growing days will do.
What's the percentage that use cabs versus?
So in
Well,
the Cabernet, in other words, is it a combination?
Yeah, it's a combination. We have a little bit. The majority of it probably is coming from Sunny Slope, because they have 30 acres that we lease their vineyard, the whole vineyard basically. So we take all their fruit, and in bad years or something, if we have to bring in some to meet our volume, we would do that. But we're trying to keep to that 75-80% New Jersey, and then we bring in the other stuff we need.
It's not 100% cab grapes that you're using.
What's that?
Yes, it's all cab.
Oh, this is
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
is
one
100%
This
cab.
one is
Yeah.
100% cab.
Yeah, we try to keep everything cab, but even though, and we've talked about this on Zoom before, that sometimes in some things we can put 25% of another wine into a cab and still call cab.
Right.
So
This
So,
one,
yeah.
we save those blends. We save that for the Vintner's Blend 5, Vintner's Blend 6 that's going to be coming out. So those is where we focus all our blends to, or even the What Exit Red is where we focus the blend on. So
We're-
these ones
we're
here,
coming
the Merlot, the Shiraz, and
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
all straight.
I mean, it can depend
Shiraz.
on the year too.
it is. It all depends on the year.
So
and-
it's different every year. So the wines change from year to year. They change.
And then different wines come in at different acidities and pH, and we try to balance it all out so it drinks nice and ages in the oak nice. So we're going to use every tool we have to make the best wine we can, and that's our ultimate goal, to get it to you in the best quality we can.
So for the 2018 cab, when did the actual process begin?
2018
October,
So that
October
began in
2018.
2018 and went to the market in
in 2020. Yeah, 2020.
So basically took 2 years.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean that's
Is that
ideal.
typical?
Yeah,
for
that's ideal for red
most
wine.
wines or-
And again, this is
A year and a half to 2 years is the premium time where you want to try and space things out.
right. And it's just how the wine develops.
Where in your whites, you're turning those over in 1 year.
Yeah,
Right,
a white wine from October is going to be released in the following May. We can get them out. But the red wines, what happens even in the barrel, your tannins soften and your acids soften. But it's basically the unfermented sugars that are in a wine. There's always some unfermented sugars, and those tannins, what they do is they bind together and it softens the tannin. And literally it takes, in a perfect world, about 2 years. So if you have it in oak, that introduces so much oxygen in parts per million each year. And so you need like 2 years for that. And then in a perfect world, you could put it in a bottle for 6 months and it'll finish up in that. And that's the optimal choice. So we are just moving, since we're growing so fast, we put some wines out in a year, but now we're starting to double up, and you're going to see most of our cabs and our heavier big reds and our
Reserve
blends
lines.
will be aged for 2 years.
Yeah, the Merlot Reserve will be the Shiraz. We're getting to that. Is we're trying to get away from that where everybody talks about bottle shock and stuff like that. So we're
Right.
trying to get them in the bottles, trying to get them to age a little bit in the bottles before we bring them out. And you guys get them first, of course. So we're trying to get them that much ahead of time before you guys get a hold of them.
Yeah,
I think we were tasting the 2019 cab the other day. That's
Yeah.
going to be completely different too.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
So,
I mean, nice.
whereas this is a little on the lighter side, that one's a little
Yeah,
bit
a
more,
little more body.
more
Yep.
traditional.
Mhm. Just depends on the grapes we're getting.
Yeah, and there'll be another Merlot Reserve coming out. If that's your favorite.
Yeah,
That
that's
and the
good.
Syrah, those are our two current.
Those are your two
And
favorites?
I love Cab Reserve.
Yeah, so we're gonna have I think the Merlot a couple months.
We're going to have
This
the
fall.
Merlot Reserve.
Yeah,
Yep.
this fall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
everything will be like
Yeah, that'll be in the
September.
new package.
Yep.
The
And that's,
Merlot Reserve will be in the new package.
oh no, the Cab Reserve.
Cab Reserve.
Cab Reserve. Sorry, Cab Reserve.
Yep.
Yeah, the Cab Reserve, and that's an 18. So it aged. We got it down, and that'll become it's more of a nice big heavy. That's sort of one of the fun things that we get that we know it's good, and we know it's coming, but we have to wait to get it out. So
Right.
we're always excited to get it out, and unless there's a complaint, then it's not so much. But nah, we're pretty confident that we have some really nice wines coming. The new Syrah that we're working on, and the Cab Reserve, the 19 Cab, all bigger, bolder, more fruit. Yeah, because adding the addition of Sunny Slope
You got a
fruit,
thumbs up over there.
all the
That's what we need.
That's what we like to.
Bigger
Two
bowl.
thumbs.
all the fruit from Sunny Slope and Scotch Rite, they have a little bit much better growing season, even though it's only an hour and a half, 2 hours down the road.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's just outside of Bridgeton, but they're close to the bay, and they're getting that moderation where
We get hit with frost here. I mean,
they're sort of saved because they have even though the ocean's there, it's a slower startup, and but they don't get real hot. And in the fall, that extended season from
Yeah.
the bay blowing over
Right.
is really nice. They're not getting a frost till like Thanksgiving, where
Yeah,
up here
that's
we're
huge.
looking at
October 10th.
And
yeah,
for- and
the first second week October.
And your vinifera's, your Cabernets and things like that take a much longer time to sort of mature and ripen
Oh,
as
yeah,
opposed
you-
to other varietals.
Yeah, you need a good 185 days to get a Cabernet ripe enough to where you want to make wine from it. And then the other thing, even going back to the viticulture part, once you pick it, you want your leaves to be on your plant because the carbohydrates are taken up then. Usually the carbs are all going to ripen the fruit, but once the fruit's off, the carbs go back down into the root system, and that's what's breaking the buds in the spring. It's not the fertilizer or anything we're putting down. Those stored carbs are breaking up. So that's really important to have all that luxury if you can. So there's times up here with our cab, we just like, okay, we're really stretching it because we want it
Leaving
right.
them hanging for a
And
while.
we're stressing the vines probably a little bit because they're not getting the carbs, but
Yeah, you
we
get a
make
lot
it
of
work.
winter. You get a lot of winter damage when you stress out the vines.
Mhm.
If you don't have to stress out the vines, you don't have nearly as much winter damage coming next spring as what you're going to see if you stress them out and you leave. You know, a lot of people will do like a late harvest and they section out different sections of the winery grounds every year, so they don't keep on stressing out the same
ones.
vines every year, because it puts a lot on the vine. So if you try and do a late harvest out of the same section of vineyard every year, you're going to be replanting in 5 years.
So what is the longevity of a grapevine?
If we can get them to 8 years old here at our location, we can get them to last 20 years.
Right.
It's that point trying to get them to 8 years old.
Okay.
Once we reach that point, we're pretty good.
Well, the Foch up top is
The Foch is
from the
1978.
80s. Yeah, 78.
Yeah,
So
1978.
they'll
the top
keep
coming down the
growing.
driveway.
And what'll happen is eventually they can last up to 50, 60 years. There's some vines out in California that are 100 years old, but they'll produce fruit, and they'll produce sort of better fruit as they get older. They say at 20 years is when they really mature enough. Those roots will drive down 20, 30 feet.
Yeah.
And really start to pull up the minerals and everything from the soil. The older they get.
The grapes will just the fruit will constantly change as the vine matures.
Right. And they won't stress as much because everything's more available down deep. And basically what happens is as they get older, they start to lose yield. Because the way we do, we have a vertical shoot position. And basically just how it is, we could produce probably 6 to 8 tons an acre off of that, but we can't get 6 or 8 tons an acre right.
Right.
So basically what we're going to do is we're going to lower the crop to about 3 tons per acre, 3 to 4, depending on the varieties. The hybrids more 4, the vinifers 2.5, 3, especially if it's cab. We don't want to stretch them too much, keep it a little lower and really work on the quality. But as they get older, they'll start to lower their production. So there's always that sweet spot. Like we're sort of at that now with the Foch, where it's producing the right amount without us doing a lot of work to it. So,
Yeah.
so that's just helpful. So,
Yeah.
and eventually it'll just go down so low, it's just not cost effective to do the work and to pick a ton of grapes. So we have to sort of get them out and replant them. But we haven't been to that yet.
I have a quick question. The cab versus the cab reserve, what's the difference?
Our best fruit goes in our best oak.
Yeah.
And then one thing that's great about our job, we do a lot of tasting. So we have a good day every day.
Tough job.
And
Yeah.
so, our nose and our palate are our best friends. And
Yeah,
if we're having a bad day, we'll go do a little tasting.
that's when the tasting happens.
Yes, that's when the tasting happens.
Today's a good day
Yeah.
for tasting.
I've done that with Mark several times.
What?
Huh?
So if he's having a bad day, you take work.
Yeah.
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 It has happened a couple of times.
So basically,
Or I'll just stumble up there. Scott. And he'll just pour me something.
And it has longer in oak as well.
yeah, a little longer in oak, we're letting it all go. And we're just using our best fruit and our best barrels to not go to that.
And where in South Jersey do you have?
It's outside of Bridgeton, actually, in Hopewell Township, outside of Bridgeton, not the Hopewell Pier. There's a Hopewell Township down there in Cumberland County,
Okay.
over toward the bay there.
With your cap, you're producing and bottling this so you can sell and move along.
Right.
Is your process any different if you want that to slow mature and say be ready in 3 to 5 years and have it get better?
Yeah, like if you're thinking of like a French Bordeaux, they're set up to be like age 10 years. And yes, you're looking at your acidities and your pHs and trying to get that balance. If we're looking to get our wines out in 2 to 3 years and we want them drinkable then, and we'd like to see that 8 to 10 year longevity range.
Yeah.
And I'm not that patient to wait 10 years to get it
No,
out.
no.
And our market's not.
It's not in the short term.
Right.
Not in the markets
right.
of stuff that's being produced right now and stuff like that. It's more of the younger wines and stuff like that are the ones that are in the spotlight right now.
Yeah.
So trying to compete with them and also trying to get stuff to age. So we're trying to get that in between.
The nice thing is though, I think what they do really well is when the wines come out, they're ready. You can drink them,
Mhm.
when they come out, but
Right.
they do get better and they do change
Right.
the longer they're in the bottle. So I think you kind of get the best of both worlds
Yes.
where they're, produced so that you can drink them now, but you could certainly hold on to them.
Yeah. The cab, when we first bottled the cab, it was right up in the front
Yeah.
of the palate and stuff like that. And now that it's been in the
mellowed
bottle
out.
for a while and stuff like that, now it's more in the middle to the back of the palate. So it's definitely softened up in the bottle.
I think the tannins have softened in it too, just from tasting it when it first came out. I think it's kind of softened up. It's still a little on the medium bodied
Mhm.
side, but I
Yeah.
think it's like it was a little bit harsher when it was first bottled, and I think it's definitely like softened a little bit, and sort of come into the elements of it have sort of combined a little bit.
Yeah, the younger the wine, when it's sort of fresh and young, you're going to get a lot of the fruit, the fresh fruit up
Yeah.
front. But as it like a cab ages, it's going to get the fruit's going to go down. You're going to get a little more oak and spice.
Yep.
And then it's just the way it goes. And nobody's ever wrong. Like you might want to drink it when it's fresh and fruity. Somebody else might want to drink it when it's more the oak and more soft. So nobody's ever wrong. I always tell anybody it's buying a case. If you just keep a little notepad and just write your quick notes on and throw it back in the box after you're done drinking that bottle. If you pull the next one out, don't look at your notes, just drink your bottle and you'll see how it changes. If you have a case, you'll see how each bottle is changing in time. Like if you're drinking one every 3 months, even one every month, you'll have little changes, but like every 3 months, 6 months, up to a year, you'll see more striking changes. And
Absolutely.
if you just keep it and you just give it your plus or minus, all of a sudden you're just like, well, I didn't enjoy it much. So for you, that wine peaked. So, but for somebody else, they may, okay, this is getting perfect now. I like it. But it really is your personal drinking preference.
I've noticed that with the Sauvignon Blanc.
Well, you can keep them a long time,
It
but
depends on the
eventually
wine.
they're going to get soft, sort of flabby, and the acids are going to be soft. So you're not going to have a lot of nose. You're not going to have a lot of flavor, and it just sort of really like still drinkable, but it just won't be as fresh as they go.
Are we talking like a year, 2 years?
Cabs, like I said, our cabs are ready to go out the gate, and they're going to anywhere from 5 to 10 years. They'll be still good, yeah. The whites, you're going to probably 2-3 years because you're going to get the free because we're going to go to the Sauv Blanc. You'll see how expressive that is, and in about 2-3 years that'll start to wane and get softer too. So it just won't become, and it becomes just sort of like I said, flabby and not as big. So I'd say 3 years, 4 years max, unless it's a barrel fermented white that's got a little more to it. But just your average whites, I would say 3 years, 4 years. The reds, anywhere from when you buy it for us, what we're producing, anywhere from when you buy it up to 10. And
Are
then
there
sort of
people
your,
who actually hold on to their wine that long?
I don't. You would think.
12, 14, 15 cabs I finally finished last year.
Okay.
Wonderful.
So yeah,
Except now we're out of it.
yeah. And you would think we'd have some, but we don't.
No.
And yeah, everybody always thinks like, oh, you're gonna, must have a lot of wine at home. I'm like, no, one, I'm lazy. So if it's there, I'm going to drink it. So when I run out, then I have to run to the liquor store and get some. So that's just, I think that's just most of us. And some people do cellar wines, but it's hard because when you're in the business, all your friends want it and they always expect you to bring some. So
Yeah. Whatever
So-
picnic you go to,
Yeah.
what'd you bring?
Hey, what'd you
Yeah,
bring
What'd you
us?
bring us?
I'm having a dinner next week. All three of
okay.
us.
See that? That works.
And he likes the heavier wines.
Yeah.
So you guys want to taste the Sauvignon Blanc?
Sure.
All right.
So this is one that has definitely changed in the bottle also. when we first bottled it, it was sort of more like that a flavor of like a Riesling, had a little bit more acidity characteristics onto it. Now that it's been in the bottle for a while, it's actually softened up a little bit more, and it's come to the actual Sauvignon Blanc characteristics.
So how long has it been in the bottle, what we're drinking?
This one's been 6 months.
6 months,
Yeah,
yeah.
so 6 months, which is pretty good right
Yeah,
now.
we're not big white drinkers, but this is delicious.
Yeah.
It's nice, and
It's really refreshing.
you
It's
got really nice tropical
nice
fruit.
grapefruit.
Yep,
Mhm.
and grapefruit. And yeah, that is nice. More like your
Very crisp.
California.
Sauv Blanc, yeah, as
Sauv
opposed to
Blanc,
like New
more
Zealand.
the fruit
This one
forward.
reminds me of one from the Marlborough region. New Zealand,
Okay,
That I love.
okay. And so we're just, this is something like when we bring it in, the way we make our whites is we bring it in from the field, it gets crushed immediately. And so all the juice goes into a tank. We turn the chiller on, we cold settle. So all the pulp and everything is going to settle to the bottom. We get rid of all that because anything that's going to be a problem, anything wrong with the skin or something's going to be in that. We take that clean juice off. We warm it up and we ferment that. We probably lose an extra 5-10%, but it's 100% better in quality.
Yeah,
And that's how you
depends
get
on the
these
tanks.
aromas.
Depends on the tanks. Depends on how much we're gonna lose. So
Yeah.
you hope for a good conjugal tank, so hopefully we don't lose too much in the settling on that. But yeah, you lose a little bit on that. The yeast on that was a T306. Gives it a little bit of acidity and just keeps it clean. That's the purpose of that yeast.
Yeah, we thought it would be, I mean, we were really excited. This is year 2 Sauvignon Blanc.
Mhm.
So this is the second year we've done this one. And we're really excited to do, we wanted something more. We have the Pinot Gris, which is really nice and light. We have our Vidal Blanc, which again is a really fun wine as well. We wanted to do something that had a little bit more sort of medium bodied,
Yeah.
pairs really nicely with food. But we wanted something that had a little bit more mouthfeel. And so last year Sauvignon Blanc, we had so much fun with it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So we-
and it was popular, so we had to bring it back.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And
But-
we have Sauvignon Blanc fans? Were you guys happy? Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, Mark.
You don't
we
count
know.
them. I know. I'm aware.
But yeah, this definitely has a lot of fruit weight. It carries, you can get the fruit on the nose, on the palate, after long finish, still a lot of fruit. So it's a nice wine. It's a really nice wine. This is another one that could go from apps to and through dinner.
Yeah. And it,
Yeah.
we were talking, we had, our staff here that last night, and we are sort of talking about different things, Cara, that we're saying, it's got a little bit of herbaceousness, but not a lot. We were talking like pesto, things like that, just to sort of draw out a little bit of that.
Bless you.
Bless you. Just to draw out a little bit of that herbaceousness and, or tropical salad, things like that would really sort of make
What about cheeses?
cheese as well. Yeah. So goat cheese.
Sharp cheese?
I probably wouldn't go too sharp, but I would go more like the goat cheese arena. Bless you. Even like an herbed goat cheese, things like that. It'll sort of, you have a little bit of the acidity in the wine to sort of cut through the cheese, cut through that like sort of fattiness in the cheese, but yet it would really draw out sort of that earthy herbaceousness in it.
Yeah, it's weighty enough and
Yep.
flavorful enough. It's that flavor is going to come through most of that.
Yep.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Hopefully it wasn't the wine. Yeah.
We only had one.
Yeah,
We only have the one, but
only
yeah.
Yeah, we only made reserve Sauv Blancs. I mean, we'll have a reserve Chardonnay and a plain Chardonnay, and sometimes it's the oak, and sometimes it just could be the fruit.
It's just the fruit.
Um,
Yeah.
If we come in and we have that fruit, and we see it's going to be good, and we're cold settle and doing everything, we're gonna
Right.
pull that lot or that batch out, keep that separate,
Yeah.
and that could be a reserve as well.
Yeah, big thing to do with it is the quality of the fruit when it comes in, and how the fall, plays out. We had, last fall it was, started out a little bit wet, finished up dry. A couple years ago, it was like every summer, it was like every 3 days, it felt like it rained and stuff. So that wasn't a reserve quality feature to a Sauvignon Blanc or anything. But it's when something comes in and it's really clean and the sugars are there, it's balanced, the TA and the pH is good, and then we'll bring it up to that.
Yeah, great.
We hope not. Unfortunately, apple you have to, because apple's not sweet enough. So our apple white we have to. Blueberry is not sweet enough because blueberries are only 9 bricks.
Yep.
Apples are 13 bricks.
And they have a lot of tartness to them too.
Yeah.
That blueberries.
Yeah,
so-
where your normal grape, when we're saying bricks, it's basically a rough percentage. Like we're looking to get our grapes 22 to 24% sugar or 22 to 24 bricks, where your blueberries or your apple are only 12. Now if we just ferment 12, we're going to have hard cider, but we have to make it wine. So we have to be over 7% alcohol. So we'll have to, what we call capitalize, or just add sugar, or we like to add concentrate if we can get it. Because concentrate's the real fruit. Sugar is just adding alcohol and no flavors. But if you add some concentrate, you can put that in it. You bring it up to the level you want the alcohol to be, and then you do your fermentation. So it's funny, we do more to the fruit wine
Yeah.
than we do
To
the grape wine.
regular wines.
To make the blackberry, it's harder to make the blackberry than it is the
It
Sauvignon
is.
Blanc.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, blackberries come in. They're a little bit on the tart side too, so we gotta play around with that, and in order to try and get enough alcohol into it, so then it's also protected in the bottle once you guys get it.
And it's a fine line too. So making them sweet, but still keeping
To balance.
the balance and the acid, so that they don't just taste too sort of sticky sweet. And we can taste the blackberry reserve.
Yeah, good segue.
A good segue there.
Yeah.
Start talking about blackberry.
No, and there's a.
And you just happen to have some.
Oh, we have a new one online too, Colleen. Nice.
All right.
So as we're tasting through, we like to include a fruit wine, because I think these guys do a really
Well, you
beautiful.
get a fruit fly over there?
Yeah, I do. I had
Or
one
somebody
of these
give
in
you
my
a
glass.
fork?
We've eaten them before.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say, just eat,
It's
just
like
drink it.
protein. Yeah, exactly. Protein for you.
Yep.
So our Blackberry Reserve, this has always been a really popular wine. And I think what's really nice about the fruit wines, especially our Reserve line, so our Peach Reserve, Blackberry Reserve, is that while they're sweet, they still have a lot of balance to them. There's still that acid component, which is really important in a sweet wine. You don't want it to finish too like sticky sweet in your mouth. So I think that there's still sort of, and I know when we were tasting this a couple weeks ago, we were talking about that,
Yeah.
how it's still
What
a
we're
complete
trying,
wine.
right? Well, we're trying to, and it's usually surprising because they are sweeter, but the acidities are usually higher, and especially your blackberries and your raspberries, they have a higher acidity. So you sort of want to match the sugar and balance it with the acidity, because like Lauren was saying, you get that real, what I would call ice cream sweet, where you're eating ice cream and then you're thirsty after. We like to have enough acidity so it's a clean finish. So even a person that really might not want sweet wines can drink this and go, well, that's not so bad.
Yeah.
So it works that way. That's basically the balance we try to achieve in all our wines. We're always looking for, you don't want anything to jump out too much out front unless it's fruit, but you don't want a sharp acidity or a sharp tannin. You just want to drink it and be as smooth as possible throughout your tasting.
But my biggest goal with making like the peach and making the blackberry reserve and stuff is always to make it at the finished product taste like the actual berry itself when I was first originally starting with it. And that's always been my goal from the beginning, 12 years ago. So we always had blackberry, and peach was our big staple from when we started. And it was always one that I always made sure that it tasted just like the berry itself when we first started with it.
Yeah, this tastes so genuine.
Mm-hmm.
It's 100% blackberry in there, and like they said, there's a lot of care that goes into making a really balanced fruit wine and keeping all of the characteristics of that fruit. So when you have a blueberry or a blackberry or a blueberry, that it's sweet and then it's tart, like that's what it should taste like when you're drinking it too. It shouldn't just be all sweet.
Yeah, and I always like the sweeter wines that we do as well. Also, if you want to have them with a food, they're not too sweet
It's not
that
possible.
you can't have something with a food. Picnics, barbecues. A salad, an Asian pear grilled salad would be perfect. It's just something to have, that's still drinkable, and it doesn't have to be a dessert wine.
We always say too, it makes a really good reduction.
Mm-hmm.
To reduce it down, and pour it over something would be really good.
Mhm.
Does any dessert course?
Yeah,
And we were talking too. We were saying because a lot of times it's the cheese course at the end. We were saying this would be like a knockout.
Yeah.
With a cheese course, some cheese and fruit at the end.
What do you find is your most popular fruit wine when you sell it? Blueberry, blackberry.
It has always been the blackberry
Yeah.
reserve. It's always been the blackberry reserve, and so now we have like that secondary fruit line that has the raspberry blush, the blueberry, another peach, and the blackberry red, and but so I think and of that line, I would say probably the raspberry
Especially-
blush
especially-
is the most popular.
And it's kind of seasonal as well. Like this
Yeah.
time of year, the blackberry, all the fresh fruits coming out. But Scott does a spiced apple too. So in the fall, around Christmas time and stuff, that's always nice during the holidays.
But I would say probably year after year, it's always been the blackberry reserve has been the most popular. But I think to Darren's point, even as I tend to not drink sweet wines. I sit down and have the blackberry reserve, and it has a lot of the similar characteristics of a red wine.
Mhm.
You have that little bit of tannin, you have the acid. It's it's very fruit forward. So to me, even though it's a fruit wine,
Right.
I find it very appealing. I like it.
And it would pair good with desserts as well as I think for me preferably would probably be the cheeses.
Yeah.
Cheeses and fruit, because I really don't eat desserts either. So
I think it would be great with a sharp cheddar.
Yep. Yeah. So it's sweeter, and it's got a lot of body to it. So yeah, you're going to want to pair it with a little bit more sort of a robust cheese that'll stand up to it.
yeah, if you're just sitting with your friends after dinner, put the cheese platter out and pour some, basically like a dessert wine, but it's not that sweet.
And aged cheeses would be good. So then it has a little bit of, a nice little sort of aged saltiness to it.
Are there any openings here?
Only for the
I- I-
only for
taster.
tasters, only for tasters,
I'll
yeah.
be a taster.
I think you already are.
They've been looking for a reason to get rid of me. You can have mine.
So if Mark resigned, we would not accept it and we'd still have to.
And I think Mark,
We would not accept.
We would not accept that. We just wouldn't. So.
I think Mark had first dibs on our next taster.
Yeah.
So,
I thought I already was.
Only when you're having a bad
He
day.
applied for the dual position.
yes.
So if he's having a bad day, he just has to walk over there and open his mouth.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Ends in Y.
Here, taste something.
The ones that are the most interesting are so Scott talked about it a little bit when we do the Vintner's blends for our club members and when we do the What Exit blends. Those are always, because it's always sort of working with different percentages of different grapes. And so, you'll go up there and they'll,
There could be hundreds of combinations.
Yeah.
It might
Yeah.
take 2-3 days.
Yeah. So we'll have them all lined up there. They're all
sometimes
labeled.
you have your coffee at the same time and
Yeah,
you're like,
yeah.
okay, this is starting now, is
Okay,
it?
9 o'clock, we gotta get going.
I'm all ready.
Yep. There you go.
But doesn't that go back to their question about reserve Sauvignon Blanc? We had 2 Sauvignon Blancs.
Yes, we did.
One was just exceptional. One was also good, but going back to the Vintner 5, that's an awesome blend of Sauvignon Blanc and Chardonnay.
Right.
Mhm.
So, and I think I had a bottle of that the other Sunday.
There you go.
We have some awesome recipes on our website too.
Mhm.
With your Sauvignon Blanc. And we actually have some Scott's recipes on our website.
Do you?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Oh.
We'd love to have more.
All right. I'll have to work on that.
How difficult is it to have consistency from one year to the next?
In New Jersey, difficult.
It's
the
hard.
weather. The
Specifically,
weather
well,
is
let me ask you
nasty.
This way, your what eggs is red,
Yep.
The last vintage
and the one
was
before that,
amazing.
two different, tastes completely different.
Yep.
Well, they're completely different grape, the
Yeah.
components are completely different.
Right.
What's that?
Is there a different recipe or? just-
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, it's working with what we have.
Right.
And stuff
And different,
like that.
yeah, different.
For percentages, so you could still work with a Cabernet, a Merlot, and let's say a Syrah, right?
Right.
But your percentages aren't going to be the same year after year either, because you're sort of working with different percentages depending on the fruit that year,
Based on your harvest.
based
Yeah.
on the harvest.
But
Yeah,
the
the one we have now has a little bit more Syrah into it than the one 2 years ago. The one 2 years ago was only about 23% Syrah. The one that we have
Red
now
Zinfandel.
is a little bit higher.
Yeah.
So it all depends on the years that we have, and so like Lauren will come in and stuff like that, and we'll have them up across the table, and it'll be A, B, C, D, E, and F, and we're like, okay, try them. Darren and I have the numbers of what we have in them. We go through and say, which one do you think would be the one for this year? And then we go from there.
Yep.
So how long after it goes in the bottle is it actually like the current vintage of the What Eggs Have Red?
Those are sometimes a little faster because those are all separately made
Right.
wines that you're then blending together. So they
Right.
don't need as much time. They're all complete.
So are they going to
On their own.
though in the bottle as they?
The,
Are they
the
gonna
acid,
age
the,
a
a-
little
the
bit
acids
in
will
it?
still get
Right.
softer. They'll mellow out. The tannins will softer.
Right.
But
It's a living
the base
thing in there.
products there,
Yeah.
and just going back to the vineyard, because that's where it really all starts. Is we try to grow our grapes knowing like we grow them to the yields, so we're trying to grow the yields to. We just want to make sure in a bad year we have the best yield. So anything, we're doing 2 tons, 3 tons per acre. So even in a bad year, we're going to have good wine. So we're trying to keep the yields down so we get the best quality we can. And in a good year, they just get better. So the wines we think will always be good. There's some things out of our control. Grapes are very much like tomato plants. If you ever grown tomatoes and as they ripen up, the skins get softer. And if you ever had it rain a lot, they split. Well, if a grape splits, it's done.
Yeah.
There's nothing we can do. It starts to
doesn't
oxidize
callus
right
over
away.
like a tomato.
Everything. So we're really dependent on the weather, and we're just sort of watching that window. So when it gets close to harvest time, we're out checking the numbers on the
Yeah.
grapes and trying to get them picked between the windows of the rain. And that's where the difficulties in New Jersey, when it starts to rain in the fall, because if it rains and those bricks or the sugar content in there
Dilutes it.
is 22% and you get an inch of rain, the next day it's going to be down to 18%. So it's going to be diluted. So we have to wait in a couple of days, that'll sort of drain out. But then you're like, okay, it's starting to dry, and then it rains again. And so sometimes you're in a waiting zone, and sometimes you just have to get them. So it's always a challenge in New Jersey, definitely to grow grapes. And the fluctuations are probably the worst thing in the spring, the up and downs in temperatures, because once that ground hits 50 degrees, those roots start taking up nutrient, and there's times it can be 70 during the day and drop down to under freezing at night, and that'll just be like your pipes bursting, and the plants actually will get cracks, and then we'll have crown gall problems. So there's all
I think
these
the
little
spring
all
probably
these little
causes the
things.
most like stress too, just because we'll have those weeks of where it's like everybody's like woohoo, and it's 80 degrees for like that week in
Yeah.
April, and everybody's like yeah. Meanwhile, we're over here going no,
Yeah.
because the next week it'll be 30.
Right.
And the grapes don't know. They're like, woohoo, it's
Yeah,
spring. And they
that's-
start growing and things start popping. And
We've had frost here as late as May 23rd.
yeah.
Yeah.
And once they start, growing, I mean, that's a whole completely.
Yeah, your first buds is your fruiting buds.
Yeah.
The secondary buds that comes out after you get hit with frost is mostly vegetation.
Yeah,
you don't get
you'll have a
much-
nice shoot, but you won't have much fruit.
Yeah.
Yep. So they walk up and down the rows and go, no, not yet. Not yet.
Yeah. Please, no. But yeah, I've come up over the driveway and I come in the morning and it's so much different from up there to down there. I've come in that day in May 23rd. That was like right after Mother's Day, and we were getting ready for our festival. And I come up over the hill. I'm like, oh, everything looks good. Everything looks beautiful. Everything made it through. I got to about where my building is, and then I could see the white, and everything was just frosted. And I'm just like,
no.
Yeah.
And then everybody, the entire East Coast, all the way from Virginia, all the way up through Long Island, everybody got hit. So everybody's making phone calls, trying to find fruit, and it was impossible that year. So everybody had the same thing, all the way from Virginia, all the way up through.
But to somebody's point, I think they were asking too, or maybe you were asking about sort of the consistency. But to me, there's a beauty in that too, because every year will be completely different. Every year will be completely its own vintage. So from a winemaking standpoint, it is very exciting when you have those years and you know that wine is going to be good, and it goes in and you harvest it and you're like, this is it. This is what we want.
Right.
So that's just part of it. That's part of the labor of love of being in wine business and making wine, is that sometimes you have to deal with those issues and you sort of work through it, and other years it's a beautiful vintage, and everybody deals with that.
Yes.
It's not just us.
Sometimes you just got to make lemonade. God gives you lemons, you're going to make lemonade. So you learn to work with it.
So.
Have any problem like beer coming in? Having
Yeah.
snack?
Yeah. We have a
Yeah,
problem with them in the springtime, because the farmers don't have a lot of other stuff planted yet, so we're the first things that
They're
turn
like,
green. So they come in and they're hitting us. So
Call their friends.
yeah, we're hoping
friends
in
and
the
family
next 2 weeks that once the corn and everything else starts to come up, they'll start focusing more in that area instead of on us. So that's the unfortunate, is we're the first things that turn green.
And that's usually in the spring, and then it's the birds in the fall.
And then you have your raccoons. The birds are bad. You have raccoons. Believe it or not, turkeys. Turkeys love grapes.
Yeah, turkeys. Yeah, and you can't fence in and keep out turkeys, so they've learned to fly over top.
So we give back to nature just a little bit.
Yeah.
I have to commend you, did a great job with your dinner. How you got everybody in here, you put up plants and stuff. You did a great job. You live an hour away, and we were constantly coming because it was the only place.
Yeah.
It was a safe place.
Yeah, that's what we tried to make it for everybody. We really emphasized on that, and hands down to Mark and David for handling all that.
I mean, that planning started in what? March. We
March
knew
March 13th.
we knew it was coming eventually, and so we just were like, okay,
Yeah, we
when
geared up.
we're able to reopen, we have all this space, how are we going to do it?
Yeah.
So we're happy that
The only safe place that we felt safe.
Yeah, we knew it was coming, and that's why in March we were already planning that. We already had everything involved and stuff like that, and put it into place for you guys in order to be comfortable and coming out and enjoying.
That spring pickup was fun.
No, that was a
that
trip.
first one that March,
Yeah.
that April.
Okay, just drive up. We're gonna
Just drive up and we'll throw it in your trunk.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling it was like nobody was like, yes, we're going. We need the wine. Put it in the trunk.
Yeah.
It was like so many thank yous. Thank you.
I now know 6 feet from. I could be 30 feet away from it. I could tell 6 feet apart. Nothing else.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a lot of planning and a lot of meetings, and how are we going to do this, and so
that was every day was a meeting.
I had a full head of hair before.
Yeah, because we didn't know what they were going to do to us, day in and day out. Every day was
it literally changed every day.
A new report from the governor or whoever.
And we're not joking. We literally were meeting about it every day because it changed every single day. So it was like, okay, what's going on today? What's doing?
What are we allowed to do today? What can't we do?
So thank you for sticking with us to all that too.
Yes.
So we really appreciate it.
Alcohol kills COVID. That's why we kept coming back.
Yeah. So we were like, good. Yeah.
That's why we never stopped working.
Exactly.
Yeah. We never stopped. So we were here. So we were going. We were, the Shiraz is 15.8% alcohol. So we were good with Shiraz.
That's how we all started our day every day. Little hit of Shiraz. little red port for everybody.
Yep.
Yeah, when it first started and you guys had some sort of a discount, I feel like it was like 25% or something.
Yes.
That was a great idea.
Yeah.
because
Well, we knew everybody needed alcohol.
we definitely did. We all met here.
No.
We had a gas mask on.
Yeah, whatever it takes, whatever it takes. That's right. What was it, like trunk and go? It was like basically just literally like pop your trunk.
Yeah,
I
that's what it
had
was.
to take my ex-wife out of the trunk so I could fit the wine in.
Let's get those few extra cases in there.
Pallets.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming. We hope that you really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
You're still not getting your raises, but.
I know. You notice Dave ran when
Thanks
you
for
said
the
that.
effort.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he left as soon as.
He did. He was out of here awful quick, wasn't
I'm
he?
gone. See ya.
Wow. And we hope you guys will come back. We'll do some different wines next month. And if there's anything you guys would like us to do for the next time, shoot us an email. Let us know. We're gonna try to incorporate a few other things too.
You know what date it's gonna be next month?
It will keep it the same thing, the second Thursday.
Second Thursday?
Yep. And try to have some more fun next month.
Should be good.
And you couldn't have picked a better day.
No,
Today
it's-
was-
We tried.
Yesterday was hot and
It was
humid
so hot.
Yeah.
and brutal yesterday.
It's like amazing.
Yeah, yesterday morning, I'm glad we're bottling today. So yesterday we bottled yesterday. I'm like, I'm not working outside. We're bottling.
No, this is what you wait for.
Yep. Everything, all the bottling and stuff like that is all done at the tank.